All right, now we're live. All right, good. Crazy hula. All right, let's get out of here. This really doesn't want to stay upright. All right, here we go, everyone. We should be live right now, and we are. Okay. So on the shared screen, let's actually do a new share screen here. Let's do share screen. Start now. Okay, we're going shared audio on so you can actually hear me. All right, shalom, everyone. As I said before, I'm Brother Doug with the Wakened by Yahuwah Fellowship Assembly. We are going to be doing a study tonight called Sabaoth, aka the title of hosts of armies that you see in the scriptures. 17 times the Masoretic text has omitted this title that usually precedes Yahuwah's name in certain verses. So we're going to go first to Joshua chapter 6, verse 17. And the city shall be devoted, and it and all the things that are in it, to Yahuwah of armies. Only do ye save Rehab, the harlot, and all things in her house. So in the Septuagint, it does have hosts or armies following the Yahuwah's name there. The Masoretic doesn't, completely omitted. We're going to go to the next verse here. Okay. I'll try my best to show you guys both versions so you can see that I'm not making this stuff up. Okay. Alright. 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 20. Okay. We're going to be jumping all around. So, and it came to pass when the time was come that she brought forth a son and called his name Samuel, or Shemuel, and said, because I asked him of Yahuwah Elohim of Sabaoth. And actually, Baruch,
Thank you.
the Septuagint, interestingly enough, in this verse of Brenton's English translation, he actually puts the Hebrew Sabaoth there. So it's very interesting. He actually keeps the transliteration there in 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 20. Now, if you go to the Masoretic, it actually also, I should make a note of this and edit my document a little bit. Okay. Um, Also, Elohim is omitted, and that's the great thing about having Google Docs. You can literally edit it, update it. Okay, so just for the heck of it, I'm gonna check to make sure that Elohim's supposed to be there. Uh, I'm gonna go to my Greek OT Plus. I have a couple of Greek-only Septuagints that are keyed to the Strong, so I can actually see what's supposed to be there. So 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 20 is where we're at right now. All right. Hold on. Let's see here. Okay. And what I can do for you guys is even send, if I want to, I can send screenshots of this stuff. All right. So I can make it like the thumbnail of the video. Okay. Interesting. Certain other versions um, of the Greek text here, instead of armies, have almighty or omnipotent. The word for almighty or omnipotent, which would be G3841. Um, Hangtok Rator. Interesting. Um, Either way, though, the Hebrew does not have almighty or armies or Sabaoth there. So the Masoretic text completely takes the title out that's supposed to be there. Um, let's see here. I'm just curious. because I know. All right, so we get Theos there. Yeah, no. Actually, it seems like whatever manuscript the ABP Plus is using is not as accurate as Brenton's. Um, and the Brenton's one actually has Sabaoth literally transliterated into Greek. Interesting. And it even lets you know of Hebrew origin H6635. So the H6635 is not there in that verse in Masoretic. That's what happened. That somehow they omitted it in that verse. And it's saying here for G4519 Sabaoth, Hebrew, it would be Sabaoth, a military epithet of Alua. Armies, when it's plural, talking about the armies of heaven. Okay? So when it says Yahuwah of armies, it's basically Yahuwah, the creator of the angelic armies. That's really what the combination there means, with Yahuwah's name followed by Sabaoth. Okay. So we're going to move on here. We're going to go to now the book of Isaiah, chapter 5, verse 25. Isaiah 5:25. Okay. Therefore, we'll show you the Septuagint first here. Therefore, Yahuwah of armies was greatly angered against his people, and he reached forth his hand upon them and smote them, and the mountains were troubled. The carcasses were as dung in the midst of the way. Yet for all his anger, all this his anger has not been turned away, but his hand is yet raised. And of course, again, we have Sabaoth nowhere to be found in the Masoretic of chapter 5, verse 25 there. You can check for yourselves if you have my sword or e-sword. It is not there even in the Hebrew. It's completely not there. So, yeah, so let's go there. That is Isaiah 5:25. All right. Yep. I'm just double checking here to make sure that I didn't make any mistakes on this document here. Okay, so now we're moving on to chapter 7, verse 7 of Isaiah. 7, verse 7, which there's multiple problems with the Masoretic text version of this. And we're going to get into that, what I mean by that. Okay, so Isaiah 7:7. Yeah, lovely, lovely Masoretes adding in a term there that most likely was not originally there in the original Hebrew or the Greek Septuagint. Okay, so if it wasn't bad enough they don't have of armies here, okay, they actually add in before the Tetragrammaton, they add in Adonai, H136 Adonai. Okay, and then you have the H3069, obviously Yahuwah's name there. But it's missing the word Sabaoth there. So instead of Adonai Yahuwah, the Septuagint would read as, "Thus says Yahuwah of armies," or Yahuwah of hosts, "this counsel shall not abide nor come to pass." So let's move on here. Isaiah 22:17. Okay, 22. I don't know why it keeps doing that. 2, 2. There we go. Isaiah 22:17. Again, the Septuagint has hosts, Sabaoth, armies. Okay, it says, "Behold now, Yahuwah of armies cast forth and will utterly destroy such a man, will take away your robe and your esteemed crown." Okay. And as we can see here, there's no mention of Sabaoth or armies that title Sabaoth, which is translated either of armies or hosts in your modern Bibles. It's not there at all in the Masoretic text in Isaiah 22:17. So now we're going to move on to the next chapter, chapter 23, verse 11. Yay. This phone sometimes wants to glitch. Don't know why it wants to do that. Okay. All right. Let's go to the Septuagint here. And your hand prevails no more by sea, which troubles kings. Yahuwah of armies has given a command concerning Canaan to destroy the strength thereof. And right here, again, the Masoretic text has the Tetragrammaton, but is missing Sabaoth, the title that follows his name. Okay. We're going to move on now to Isaiah chapter 45, verse 14. Okay, so 45. What is going on here? I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, Isaiah 45, 14. Okay. We'll read the Septuagint first. Thus says Yahuwah of armies, Egypt has labored for you, and the merchandise of the Ethiopians, and the Sabians, men of stature. Interesting, it says men of stature. It reminds me of Numbers 13 when it says that we saw the Anakim, men of great size. Kind of interesting because Ethiopians come from Ham, so that's interesting to note. Shall pass over to you, shall be your servants, and they shall follow after you bound in fetters, and shall pass over to you, and shall do obeisance to you, and make supplication to you, because Elohim is in you, and there is no mighty one besides you, O Yahuwah. Okay. Now, if we go to the Masoretic here, thus says Yahuwah, again, no mention of the title Sabaoth, aka of armies or of hosts, not there. The labor, Egypt, and the merchandise of Ethiopian and Sabians, men of stature, shall come over to you, yada, yada, yada. Surely Elohim is in you, and there is no other mighty one. And I find it interesting too in verse 14 that it doesn't mention that it's talking to Yahuwah when it says there's no other mighty one. It just says no other mighty one. But in the Septuagint it says there is no mighty one besides you, O Yahuwah. It's like giving more of a context in the Septuagint that this prophet is talking directly to Yahuwah and saying there is no other deity but you. In the Masoretic text, it just says there is no other mighty one. There's no, it's almost like a run-on sentence. So I'm gonna make a little note about that, about verse 14. Masoretic text omits Yahuwah at the end of it. Okay. All right. Moving on anyway. Now we're gonna go to 1 Kings chapter 17. 17 verse 1. And Eliyahu the prophet, the Tishbite of Tishbe of Gilead, said to Achab, as Yahuwah Elohim of armies, the Elohim of Yasharal lives, before whom I stand, there shall not be these years dew nor rain except by the word of my mouth. So I'm curious to see how much is missing in the Masoretic here. Okay. They do have Alihim, but no mentioning of the Sabaoth again in 1 Kings 17:1. Okay. And so now we are going to be going to here, and Sister Sadia just got in. So let's see here. Let me go back to the screen I had here. So for those that have just came on watching in, we're doing a study about how many times the title Sabaoth or of armies is omitted from the Masoretic text. The same verse, it is there in the Septuagint. So again, this is something that 17 different times in the Masoretic text, this phrase is missing in certain verses. So we just did 1 Kings 17:1. Now we're going to go to 2 Kings 19. And from my document that I'm looking from my computer here, it should be verse 20. Again. And Isaiah, the son of Amos, sent to Hezekiah, saying, Thus says Yahuwah Elohim of armies. So the host right there, that's the Sabaoth. Armies, hosts. The Elohim of Yasharal, I heard your prayer to me concerning Sennacherib, king of the Assyrians. Now, if you just go to any old modern Bible, we'll have the Masoretic here. It just says, Thus says Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharal. There's no mention of hosts. The Hebrew word Sabaoth there is completely omitted. Okay, so we're going to move on here. Now we're going to go to the book of Psalms 69, verse 6. All right, so Psalm 69, verse 6. Let not, oh, by the way, in your physical Septuagint would be chapter 68, verse 6. The chapters are like just off by one sometimes in the book of Psalms. Okay, let not them that wait on you, O Yahuwah of armies, Yahuwah of hosts, be ashamed on my account. Let not them that seek you be ashamed on my account, O Elohim of Yasher Al. And obviously, if we go to the Masoretic here, okay, it just says, oh, ain't that a beauty? It's not just taking away Sabaoth. Gotta put that Adonai in there, don't you guys? Just gotta force that in there, don't you? Yeah, so H136 again appears right before the H is 3069, which is in your English Bibles, all caps God is actually supposed to be Yahuwah. Okay. So if you have like a translation in this verse that has the lowercase Lord is actually Adonai there, by the way, just to let you guys know. Okay, so even in your ISRs where it says the master and then Yahuwah follows it, the master there was added in by the Masoretes. The Septuagint does not say the master Yahuwah. There's no if that was the case, there would be two kurioses there. Okay. There's only one kurios here, and it's actually kurios, and then you have Sabaoth transliterated from the Hebrew of Sabaoth. It's almost like the same thing. So it would be Yahuwah of armies in the Septuagint. Okay. Moving on. All right, so we do Isaiah 124? No, we didn't do that yet. Okay, so we're gonna go back to Isaiah. We got a couple more from Isaiah here. Isaiah 124. Therefore, thus says Yahuwah of armies, woe to the mighty men of Yasharal, for my wrath shall not cease against mine adversaries, and I will execute judgment on my enemies. Okay. Then we go to Masoretic here. Oh yeah, here we go again with this. Yeah, Adonai added in here again in front of the Tetragrammaton. Lowercase Lord, then you have the all caps after it with the H3068. Okay, so all right. So those are the main differences there in Isaiah 124. The Septuagint doesn't have Adonai there and actually has Yahuwah there. From what it seems like, it has Yahuwah there twice, um, and it also has of armies. Or actually, no, this does have. Um, this actually has hosts, so I'll have to fix that. I'll have to take that back. So the Isaiah 124 I'll take away from this document because they actually have it. Okay, so that's one less than I thought. So, all right, so that's 16 omissions instead of 17. Okay, so let me correct myself there. Okay, so now we're going to jump on to Isaiah chapter 3, verse 1, not 13. All right, 3. Behold now, Yahuwah of armies, will take away from Jerusalem and from Judea the mighty man, the mighty woman, the strength of bread and the strength of water. Yeah, so like if your translation says the sovereign, then it says Yahuwah. Again, that's the Masoretic people putting Adonai in front of Yahuwah there. So yeah, this is another one where I'm gonna have to take away and correct this document here because even in the Masoretic here it has hosts. So Isaiah 3:1 is actually it's actually hasn't been omitted in those past two verses that we saw from Isaiah. So I'm just correcting myself here in the document here. All right, so we're gonna move on to Isaiah 10. Isaiah 10:16. Okay, so let me just see here. I think a lot of these were actually okay. I see what I did. Um, Now we're gonna scratch that for 1016. Let me see if there's any more omissions of Sabaoth because that's what this study's actually about. Um, Let me just see here. All right, that one's there. Okay, so verse 24 is fine. Yeah, 33 is fine. So moving along here. I've got 19 verse 4. Let's try Isaiah 19 verse 4. And okay. No, that one's good too. All right, so I think that's about it for the omissions. Yay. Okay. So, sorry, 42:13. Okay, so Isaiah 42. Hold on. I'm still getting used to this dial pad thing. There we go. Isaiah 42:13. I think here might be another one here. Is 42:13. Here's another omission. Yep. So the Septuagint of Isaiah 42:13 says, Yahuwah, Elohim of armies, shall go forth crush the war. He shall stir up jealousy and shall shout mightily against his enemies. That's kind of interesting. He'll shout mightily. Kind of reminds me of First Thessalonians chapter 4 about the voice of the archangel Michael, and how there's supposed to be a trumpet blown when he returns. When Yahuwah returns, when Yahusha returns, there's going to be a mighty shout. So I find that kind of interesting. All right. So that's another one there. Let me just check something here. We got Isaiah 54 verse 5 also I have typed up here. Yep, this is another one. Okay, so the Masoretic. See here. So the Septuagint version says, "For it is Yahuwah that made you. Yahuwah of armies is his name. And he that delivered you, he is the Elohim of Yasharal, and shall be called so by the whole earth." All right. And let's see here. If we look at the Masoretic here. Oh yeah, that's the interesting. They put maker here. Asa is your yeah, of course, Baal. Yeah, because in the Hebrew, Baal can also mean master or husband. Um, so I find it interesting the Masoretic text puts the Hebrew word literally Baal there. Um, but the Septuagint actually has Kurios twice here, so it would be Yahuwah that made you, not just that he's their maker, but it actually tells you who their maker is. So the Septuagint being a lot more specific and obviously no Baal there, which is good. Um, but anyway, that's just a Masoretic text word for husband that happens to also be a name of a foreign mighty one too, which I find to be interesting. Anyway, in the Masoretic text, they add Baal in there. But anyway, so that was pretty much the end for tonight's short little study. By the way, anyone interested to find this word in the Greek, it's G4519, and it literally means armies. Okay, so you can actually look this up. Let me see here. I don't know if I have it on here. I might have to I
Hey,
might have
brother,
to.
send me the note.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you the notes, sis, because for some reason I don't have a Greek key to Strong's here for the Bretons where it shows what that Greek word is for Sabaoth of hosts. So, but anyway, everyone, so this was tonight's short little study here and a little introduction to those that have not read the Septuagint yet. And why it's important, why the Septuagint's important. So these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, 10 instances in the Masoretic text of Hos Sabaoth is omitted from the Masoretic text, but is there in the Septuagint.
Wow.
And so it's important because one of these last verses we just read, it's almost like part of his name. In Isaiah 54:5, it actually says, Yahuwah of armies is his name. He that delivered you, past tense, he is the Elohim of Yasharal and shall be called so by the whole earth. So it seems pretty important that title of armies. It seems like an important part of his name, even. So anyway, and what I find interesting to note is many brothers and sisters are starting to realize that this Yahuwah of armies, why the of host is followed by Yahuwah sometimes, is because it's specifically talking about the person of Yahusha, actually, as the Yahuwah, as Yahuwah of heavenly armies. And I'll show you where we get this concept here, how we know it's specifically talking about the Son. Um, if I go to Joshua chapter 5, verse 13 here, this is known as the commander of the heavenly armies or the heavenly host. Okay. 5 verse 14. Basically, a pre-incarnate Yahusha comes in the form of the angel of Yahuwah here and talks to Joshua, son of Nun. So this is the context here. He says, um, starting at verse 13 of Joshua 5. And it came to pass when Yahusha was in Jericho that he looked up with his eyes and saw a man standing before him, and there was a sword drawn in his hand. And Yahusha drew near and said to him, Are you for us or on the side of our enemies? And he said to And he said to him, I am now come, the chief captain um, of the army of Yahuwah. And Yahusha fell on his face to the earth and said to him, Master, what do you command your servant? And the captain of Yahuwah's army said to Yahusha, Loosen your shoe off your foot, for the place where you now stand is set apart. And for those that are kind of skeptical, and they could say, well, what makes you think that it's not Michael? I'm going to show you something here. Okay, Exodus chapter 3, verse 2. And the angel of Yahuwah appeared to him in the flaming fire out of the bush, and he that sees that bush burns with fire, but the bush was not consumed. And Moshe said, I will go near and see this great sight, why the bush is not consumed. And when Yahuwah, who's in the bush? We just read that the angel of Yahuwah is in the bush, but now it says Yahuwah is in the bush. Interesting. When Yahuwah saw that he drew near to see, Yahuwah called him out of the bush, saying, Masha, Masha. And he said, What is it? And he said, Draw not near here. Loose your sandals from off your feet, for the place that you stand is set apart ground. Remember what we just read in Joshua 5. The same phrase being used, okay? It's the same person in the burning bush that Joshua kneeled before and called him his master. So this is how we know that Yahuwah of armies most likely is referring to the personality of the Son, and why sometimes it will just say Yahuwah and it will say Yahuwah of armies. Because Yahusha is the commander of the heavenly armies, which, by the way, is also a cross-reference for this in Revelation 9. And Yahusha comes back, all heaven's armies are behind him. Okay, let me see if I can find this here. I think it starts off with verse 13. Let's see here, yeah. His eyes were as a flame as fire, Revelations 19:12, and on his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. This is where Christianity twists that and perverts that concept that it doesn't matter what we call him because we don't know his name. Some distortion of the verse there. But if you read the next verse, it tells you what his name is. Okay, his name is not mysterious. It's not like it's going to be hidden from us in the kingdom when he's returning. Okay, and he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Yahuwah. This is why I always say context is key. Okay, verse 13 comes after 12, so the same name that is supposedly hidden, that verse 12 is saying, he reveals it to you in the very next verse. His name is called the Word of Yahuwah. And again, not to go off on a tangent, but that's why I believe the Targums mention this person called the Word of Yahuwah a lot. And in the same light as this person called the Word of Yahuwah being the Father, being the Creator, in the Targums, it's very clear that it's the same person as the Father. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. So we see that he's the master of the heavenly armies, even in Revelations 19:14. So I believe this is key to understand because it starts making a lot more sense why you see this title Sabaoth a lot of the times, not all the time, but a lot of the times following the Tetragrammaton. And so anyway, so thank you for joining us tonight. I pray that this message was a baraka for all those involved, all those that saw this on YouTube, on our live, and we'll see you later on Facebook and all the other platforms we put our studies on. So thank you for joining us. I hope this kind of reconciled some suspicions that many of our brothers and sisters are starting to have about the Masoretic text, and hopefully it's starting to encourage you to seek other older Old Testaments like the Septuagint, which again was the Old Testament of the Apostles. It's even called the Apostles' Bible by the Greek Orthodox Church. So again, I would just recommend you look into the Septuagint, look into the older Tanakhs, older Old Testaments to understand more of what the correct theology of the New Testament is, because a lot of the theology from the New Testament is directly being quoted from the Septuagint. So anyway, and I have a whole playlist of that on my channel. So you know, feel free to go to the channel. I got a playlist started called "Proof of the Accuracy of the Septuagint." So if this was a study you guys were really interested in, you want more, you kind of just got your feet wet right now spiritually, but you want more, you want to dive in deeper. I will be leaving links on this video, on the description of this video, for that whole playlist I have on my channel. So, anyway, to our brothers and sisters out there that just saw this, have a great rest of your Sabbath. Shabbat Shalom. And yeah, I hope this was a baraka to everyone that watched it. Shalom. Okay.